Hey, I'm Sarah Tegander, international speaker and trainer for a $40 million division in healthcare. With over a decade of experience working with healthcare providers, I believe that a healthcare practice should do more than just pay back student loans. Each week, I'll bring you the tips, tricks, and experts you need to build your practice both on and offline. Smart people take notes, so grab a pen or open up the Notes app on your phone as we dive into the Health of Your Business podcast. Hey there, practitioners. I had to harness all of my intuition and woo for this because this is my really intuition in business guru and mentor, James Wedmore. Cannot believe I got him on the podcast. Funny thing is, James doesn't know this, but I actually, when I saw him live, had never invested even a penny into anything with him. I actually went as a buddy ticket with one of my good girlfriends and went alongside with her just to see who this James Wedmore was that she was so interested in and thought it would be a fun girls' weekend, and ended up jumping right into his next level program. I only tell you guys about things that I truly love and believe in. So whether you check out his free series he's running right now, or you go ahead and do some work with him or not, please listen even to the end of this podcast. I had some fun rapid fire questions with him, but right after the rapid fire questions, he actually gave you a script to get started on a digital product today. So whether it is a new digital product, like a group course or something you want to launch, or you want to, a new one or an existing one you want to spruce up, whether you've been in this digital space before or you're brand new to it, wait till you hear what James has to say. It's going to be worth thousands of dollars to you with that one script. I know I was taking notes and thinking, what is something that I can get started with that script today? So you're going to want to listen to that. And if you're listening to this while he's still in the middle of his launch, this free video series, the live series he's putting together, is really incredible. I watch it every single year that he launches it. I take copious notes. So put some time aside. I know I'm tuning into training number 2 on a drive today to go meet one of my clients. So I hope that you do that and you check out everything with James. Wow. I don't know if I've ever been so nervous for a podcast interview. Let me know if you can hear it in my voice. Okay, tune in, guys. James, I miss seeing you in person. So this is the next best thing here. And the last time I was with you live in person, every time we switched seats, we broke into groups. I swear it was like everything happens for a reason, right? Every person next to me was also in healthcare, and your traditional brick and mortar fee-for-service providers are making a bigger impact through online business. So why? Why digital products? Why do you think that's incorporated in businesses today?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is we have to look at the model behind it. I love the model. I've been following this model for 14 years myself. And the first thing, sorry about that. The first thing I tell my students is that the model of selling digital products, information products of any type, is the most profitable and scalable model, especially for going online. Think about it. What else allows you to create something once and then continue over and over again, get it into the hands of thousands without expensive startup fees, needing to raise capital or funding or big, heavy fixed costs and a very low barrier of entry. And it just seems to transcend what becomes some of the biggest constraints in traditional business, like how many people you can reach geographically, like how far, how big your city is or other competitors. I mean, we're talking about worldwide. As we're going through our training right now, we have a map that shows where all the people are tuning in, and there's people all over the world tuning in. And that's so exciting, so it transcends borders to reach, more people, different demographics. And without the startup costs or those fixed, manufacturing costs, it costs you the same whether you sell 1 or 1 million. And that's pretty exciting.
really exciting in healthcare too. And there's like such a disparity in, access for a lot of people too. So I love that. And I just love that right there. For everyone who's listening and you can't see, I've got my crystals, I've got my cards, you've really helped me put a little bit of woo into my business and allowed me for the first time to do that. So thank you. And I really appreciate you for paving the way, creating a safe space for me to really come out of my spiritual shell. And so, you've been, seen many more examples than I have of entrepreneurs making an bigger impact when they embrace intuition. And it can be really hard. So, how do you know when you're really stepping in and being a digital CEO in the sense that spirit that you bring to it? Like, what are some of those things?
Oh man, that's a really great question. I think when I started Business by Design, I had a really hard time teaching it at first because I told people, I just admitted, I was like, the success and the results I have is so much just following my own intuition. And, there's articles and studies done today about how many successful CEOs and high-level executives in corporate America are leading with intuition. And on the opposite side of that, there's conversations around the phenomenon of decision fatigue, that the willpower and the thinking power, because the brain itself consumes more calories than any organ in the body. It's the hardest working thing we got going right there. So as much as we can, we're trying to like avoid thinking and being in our head, and it's exhausting. It's tiring. It's like, if you think back to like when you took your SATs or some really big intense test in high school or college and you were like exhausted afterwards, and now you know why. And I believe things like intuition are not, not the same. I believe it's more about receiving that new idea and that guidance. And all that really starts with, and the ability to receive is trust and trust in yourself. And I think that's what's missing. I think a lot of people are operating from a lot of fear in their business, a lot of uncertainty. Well, it's like, of course it's uncertain, because the future itself is anything but certain. But can you be okay with that? You know what I mean? If someone's going to say, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to do my own thing, but they want all the guarantees. They want the whole future mapped out with all the steps and the perfect plan, and everything's got to go the way I expect it to go. You're in for a rude awakening, because it never goes the way you expect it to go. And it could never, it always turns out more beautifully than the way we expect it, which is amazing. But how do you learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable? How do we learn to trust ourselves more, to allow more of that intuition? And yeah, there's some 3D structural things that we need as well. I talk about this, a lot, but you got to know your numbers. On our first live training class, I talked all about a few of the very crucial numbers that every single CEO of their business needs to have. When you're driven by the data, when you understand the language of numbers, the numbers will tell you a different story than your thoughts and your fears. I've told my students over and over again, fear is going to be your worst advisor in business, but your numbers are your best advisor. When you learn these numbers, you're making decisions informed by the data. You can kind of like just put your faith and certainty in that. It's always telling you what's working, what's not, what do you got to change, what do you got to do differently. So those are some big things right there.
James, I appreciate you, because that sounds a lot like all the scientists that I work with, where it's the gut feeling of go ahead and chasing down and then learning where those numbers are, your lab results, finding the data that supports that. And you're so right. Sometimes it's not as bad as you seem, right? That's why they say never go and Google your symptoms. It's always worse. Go find out what's actually happening.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
That. I also just want to say, I hope that people go and check out your programs, because you are one of the most generous people in the industry that I've met. I have not seen so many processes in real time. And I was digging into something just this week that you had, and it was one of your processes. And I could see that you gave us your original process and then your updated process. Like, you don't take things out just because you make it better, because there might be something from even your original iteration in there that is a little gem or a nugget. And thank you for that. So,
oh, of course. Yeah.
I want people to know the person behind the courses too. So I just have 3 rapid fire questions before we kind of
let's do it.
Take this home. So what do you eat most days for breakfast?
Well, technically, I don't eat breakfast. I love intermittent fasting, so I don't eat my first meal until about 6 hours after getting up. But my favorite meal, and I will eat it anytime, day or night, is definitely eggs and bacon. So even if it's already like 1 o'clock by the time I'm eating, my first meal, it tends to be from breakfast, eggs and bacon and something to that effect.
Okay, you just sold all of my keto intermittent fasting followers, and at the same time, probably offended all the vegan ones. But I love that you have a plan and you stick to it, so it's all good.
Yeah.
What is your favorite household chore to outsource?
Oh my gosh, all of it. All of it. All of it. Yeah, from cleaning, there's a great company in Sedona that has built an entire like maid service. They have a whole team of maids, and we work with them, and they're amazing, and they every week. But I would say laundry is always my least favorite thing to do. And I used to have a laundry service. So I don't have one out here in Sedona, but I used to have one where they would actually come by, pick it up and drop it off all folded and clean. That was the best. But I'll tell you something else that's kind of like a hybrid offshoot that has almost connected, which would be a fun little factoid is something I really don't enjoy doing is clothes shopping. Going to the malls and all that stuff back, when people go to malls and stuff.
Yeah, what are those?
Like it was always so stressful. It was overwhelming, predominantly. Like, oh my goodness, so many options. Like, how do you choose? What? And it was just for me not an enjoyable experience. And the way I look at companies like Stitch Fix, these like box clothes companies that you have like a personal stylist, and they kind of just they kind of like ask you a few questions, and then they start sending you a few outfits. That to me is like outsourcing your clothes shopping.
It's the best.
And I love doing that because it narrows my choices down to like 5 or 6 things. And, it goes back to that decision fatigue thing, right? It's like you have 1,000 decisions you have to make, you're going to get burnt out. And that's how I always used to feel going to a shopping mall. And it's a really interesting thing because like, in the level that I'm in, the business I operate is like, we all have to be really mindful of like how we use our brain power every day. And are you spending it making a bunch of like decisions that now you don't have anything left to make the big decisions in your business? So when I started outsourcing things like clothes shopping, that was a huge game changer for me.
I'll even up you on that. I rent my clothes for when I travel because then I don't have to dry clean them. And I just send them right back. There's just clothes rental companies, and you take 1 million photographs. They don't want to be seen in the same outfit again. So I just rent them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was a thing. This is brilliant. I love it.
Brilliant. Okay, last one. You're on a desert island. Would you rather have only a laptop or a phone?
Would I rather only have a laptop or a phone? I would say phone because easier to maneuver and travel around with if I need to like climb. And also, I'd probably be making a lot of videos documenting me being stranded on a deserted island. So I would pick the phone.
You probably would still create a course on your phone. I bet you could do that.
Exactly.
Of course.
Yeah. How to survive. Survivalsecrets.com.
That's a great transition because I feel like a lot of providers today are feeling like that's what they're doing, James. They're just surviving. And that's it. And they're, just trying to keep their head above water. And they're saying, you know what? I want a course. They have bought into some guru. They bought some software and they decided maybe their kids could help them or their front desk staff or someone else. But, what do you really think? How could my listeners get started now to take their, health business online? What do you think is the best way?
Yeah, I always want to get people, my dad always used to hammer this into my head, and I thought he was talking to me about math, but he was talking to me about life when he said, the shortest distance between 2 points is always a straight line. And I've always tried to live my life and run my business that way. It's not just about simplicity, it's about elegance. Elegance is such a powerful word. Elegance means getting to where you want to go or doing the thing you're going to do with the least amount of steps as possible. And that's always what I aim to do with my students. And I think of one of our recent students who actually joined Business by Design last year, Natalia Stambouli, and she was really impacted by COVID and the quarantines last year because she had a brick and mortar business. She had a yoga studio, and she was forced to shut it down. She had to. And she immediately went online and started teaching it. And in less than a year, she's sitting on over $250,000 in revenue just from the online business by taking her yoga classes online and doing an online school. And the really interesting part is that I asked her in an interview, like, how does that compare to the brick and mortar? Is this more successful? And she just laughed at me. And she laughed at me because she's like, in all honesty, the yoga studio, the brick and mortar was barely getting by. It was that survival, like you talked about. The rent, the expenses, the employees, the liabilities, and the insurance, and the time and hours, and all that type of stuff added up. And so what I tell people is I'm going to come at this from two angles to answer your question. First, if you're in it and you're like, yes, this model makes sense and this is what I want to do, you got to be in it 100%. That doesn't mean either or. You can still run your existing practice and add this on. I'm all about an A and B conversation. But if you're approaching this like, yeah, I should just be able to like create something this weekend and like get it the next day and start bringing in, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a week or two. I don't know where you're getting that from, but that's probably not going to be the case. It does take some work to do it. And the good news is I can show you how to do it, faster than most. And some of the work it takes is developing skills. I think there are skills that do not apply to your brick and mortar or offline business that will to your online. Some of those skills is like learning how to write effective words that influence, persuade, and sell and get people to take action. And so this is what I, tell people is like, look, if you've never done anything like this before, like, when does the first time you learn like how to walk or how to drive, you're automatically a pro? It takes some time, and I aim to get you to be a pro as soon as, as fast as we possibly can, because the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And so the first piece, and what I say is always to start, is a process that we call monetize before you make it. This is one of our processes that we ask our students to follow step by step within Business by Design in order to launch your program out into the world. And so I would encourage everyone listening to go through training number 2 of my live workshop that we're hosting right now, the Rise of the Digital CEO, because I just walked people through a 6-step process for how to craft and create your offer. And that's what you need. You need an irresistible offer. It could be a group training. It could be an online course. It can be a membership. It can be anything you want it to be. But you can actually launch it out to the world before you create it. So to almost answer your question the opposite way, like what's the slowest way to get started? What's the long route? What's the way that would take a year of someone's life and a total waste of time and energy? And the first answer is, well, do all the things that don't matter. Like spend your first 3 months just building a website, spend the next 3 months trying to create the perfect online course, and then spend another 3 months trying to sell it. That's what most people are doing. Okay. And so what we invite our students to do is to create the beta version of your program where you sell it before you create it, and then you create it live in a group format over Zoom. You get paid first. You get people that want to join. They pay you. They join. And when they pay you, you get proof of concept. You get validation that you're on the right track. You're creating it in real time. And by the end of it, have real social proof, real case studies, real students that are getting results. And this is the way to do it. I'm going to give you guys a really simple script that you could basically get going with this right now. You could sit here and say, so many people that have known me for years have always asked me how to do X, whatever it is that they're asking. What is it they want to learn? Is it something specific? The more specific, better. It's like how to get my health under control, how to do this, how to do that. And for the first time ever, I've decided to put together a small group program that I'm going to be teaching over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks live over Zoom to teach a small select group of people how to do this so that they can have that. Obviously, you want to fill in the blanks there. If this is a program I'm probably going to be selling for a couple $1,000s, but for the first 10 people, and that's the key term, the first 10 or 12, or you want to keep that number small, people that join as the founding members, you're going to be able to join for a fraction of the price. You can even say this is only $500 or something to that effect. If you're interested at all, just hit me up, send me a DM, send me a private message for all the details, and we can talk. But as soon as I fill up these 10 spots, we're closing this down and we're running this program. Let me know if you want to be one of those 10. That's it. If someone said, what's the fastest way I could get started? I was like, how long would it take you to write that post? How long would it take you to submit that or post that on Facebook or the Instagram, or send it to an email, or reach out to a few people How long would it really take to collect money from those people? And then you're in business. And then every week for however many weeks, you're getting up on Zoom, you're getting live, you're teaching, you're walking people through, you're having your Q&A, and you're doing it. And the best part is recording. And by the end of that, you have the replays, you have the recordings, you have your finished product, and you got paid first, you got the people in, you validated your offer. And by the end, you're going to have that social proof, that the testimonials that it worked for others. That is the fastest way. And we have students that are doing this so fast, like instantly. We've had people that within 1 to 2 weeks of joining Business by Design are running their first monetize before you make it. They're filling it. They're getting paid first. And now they tell us, they'd never do it any other way.
Well, especially these providers I have with, hundreds, if not thousands of patients and clients in their database. And it just that, and to get started. Let's go. Yeah. Let's do this.
My best advice there is, just because it's coming to me right now, is like, when you do this, go real specific. Don't say, I'm going to teach you, it's like the Civil War. Civil War was a big war. And there's a big difference between, I'm going to teach you about the Civil War versus I'm going to teach you about the Battle of Gettysburg.
Right.
And to talk about something very specific and make a promise of I'm going to teach you this very specific thing is going to be so much more effective than saying like, I'm going to teach you everything about health and wellness and everything. It's when it's broad and general, it actually loses its desire and it loses its attention. When you get right to this, like if someone, I don't know, because I don't know your niche, obviously, Sarah, but like we have students, a student right now, Zesty Ginger, and they talk about brain health and how to improve brain functioning, brain health. We have another student who talks about gut health. I mean, now we're getting to specific topics, and you'll notice when you have more of that specialization, that it increases your perceived value and ability to be conveyed or perceived as the authority. So specialization, specificity is your best friend here. Do not try to be the generalist.
Exactly. No, and that's what we do here on the Healthier Business podcast. That's what we talk about. Exactly, just that is really honing in. That it makes everything informed decision on who you're writing to, what you're speaking to, what the offer is going to be. James, I've been, around you and with you and for so many years now. And one of the things I really love is that I can continue to go through your content again and again. I'm going through the Rise of the Digital CEO with everyone right now who's here, because you say things in a different way that shifts with, the times, with the season, as the technology updates, as things continue to just get easier. I don't know if I just hear it differently because it all makes sense to me. I'm no longer saying like, wait, what's Kajabi? What Kajabi? It's a Zapier integration. I don't know what you're talking about. Now this is all, second language to me. But, at the beginning, I always come away with so many nuggets of what to do right now. And so again, even on this podcast, thank you for your generosity with a simple script. That one thing can make someone thousands of dollars. Just get started today, really. So, hey, you got a launch to get back to. So I know Billy and your team, and you got to go. So again, James, thank you. And we'll see you inside. And I hope that I even see people on the inside with us in the group, because there's such a cool community back there too. That's really helpful.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate you having me on. And thanks to everyone for tuning in and listening.
Thanks so much for listening. I want to hang out with you more. I truly believe your success is related to the people you spend the most time with. That's why I created the free community, the Girlfriends Group of Health Practitioners. It's a safe space for you to connect with other soul practitioners who don't just want to keep the doors of their practice open, but they want to impact the health of their community. Head over to www.sarah2gender.com and hit the tab at the top that says Group. Go in there and introduce yourself today. I'll see you soon.